Thank you for being my videotaped guinea pig today.
No problem.
I wanted to talk through the observation from, was that yesterday, 2 days ago when I was in here? And I wanted to start with, I think the first thing you said when we were walking in, you were telling the students, like, you guys make me so proud. And it was just really clear that you really believed that, and you were really using that positive praise to motivate the students. And I felt like as the lesson progressed, that really carried over. Like the energy and positivity was in your voice, and I could see the students respond to it, which is just, I feel like that's something you've been working on, and I've really seen a lot of improvement with. The second thing you did that was really, you just did a great job of, was you asked the students to track Cornelius, and everyone did. You got 100% response. And then the next question, I think Deja was asking a question, they all did it automatically. And so it just showed like how powerful, like you giving them that sort of reminder you need to be tracking, and then they followed through and did it on their own, and that really helps to build the engagement with the students. Like, not only are they paying attention to what you're saying, but they're valuing and listening to what their classmates are doing. So I was just really impressed with that, honestly, being in here, like it was so calm, and it seemed like a very productive atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it looked really great.
It was a good day.
Yeah, so that went really well. And so I wanted to take another look at your pacing and go back to Brighten the Lines. I know we just went over that like last Thursday, so just like taking another look.
Sure.
So thinking about that technique, what is the purpose of using Brighten the Lines?
I've used it a few times now, and it just seems to clean up like the transition so much easier. Like they have exact guidelines set out for them to follow with like, hey, your PDN should only take you like 2 minutes. Like, okay, 30 more seconds, finish up your sentence. And that seems to move things along a lot quicker so that I'm not at the end of the period wondering where the time went. So that really helps just like distinguish those like clear ends and beginnings, which helps, I think, with their focus.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like it's useful as a teacher too. You know, like
Yes.
you said, you're keeping yourself on track.
Yeah.
Well, I completely agree, and I think so. I wanted to watch part of the video and just watch for if there were any missed opportunities or places where that could have helped. So we're gonna watch from the end.
Whether it's a gas form, liquid, or solid, it's still H2O.
Where is that?
Ugh, I hate hearing myself. It's so annoying.
Well, I think it's only like that to yourself.
I know, but
is
you're
the
just
thing,
like-
but I completely understand. I feel the same way. Oh, there's the video. Okay, so we're going to. I think I might need to close it.
Whether it's a gas form,
We're gonna skip toward the end.
Okay.
If it lets me.
liquid, or solid.
So this is the point where you had answered a question from Corsica, and we're sort of finishing up the whole group.
You start to see water droplets forming, and then more and more, if you keep tracking the temperature to the point where there's liquid just floating at the bottom of this little case that you have. So there's so much condensation, so much gas being turned back into liquid because of the drop in temperature. But there'd be pools of water coming down the sides of the glass box. Okay, so that being said,
so did you see any places where breaking the lines could have?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really set out like expectations or guidelines after I told them the homework. I kind of looked at the clock and saw a minute and like scrambled through what I needed to say so that the bell wasn't gonna ring. When there was a minute for them where I could have told them like, okay, take this minute to look through like your homework and see like where you're gonna run into issues so that I can help you now or something, like giving them direction for that time instead of like leaving it and then just having that sitting there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that would have been a great place. And I think it ended up being a little bit longer, I think, than you realized too. And so it would have given them some more purpose. So let's try that. So you're finishing, and I think too, focusing on how you can sort of put a clear end to what they had been doing. So if you were to sort of redo that portion of the scene, what would you say to the class that could really brighten those lines of the end activity and then the last couple minutes they have?
So I could have ended that like explanation or activity, I guess, going through physical and chemical changes with just like reminding them of like how to like choose or how to define, and then say like, okay, so like you'll be linking this to your homework if you flip it over, and then explaining what I want them to pull out for that next couple minutes or whatever, I guess.
And how could you brighten sort of like the time limit? Because I think that's a part of it, is making the students feel like it's not just, oh, there's about this much time, kind of, even if it's maybe not exactly true, giving them this like concrete, this is the start of this and this is how long you'll have.
Are you talking about like with the physical and chemical changes?
No, just like
or-
starting the homework, like how could you make that so it's like, you know, if, however, really giving like this set, like this is an activity, you know, this is what you're gonna do.
Okay. I would probably tell them like, okay, take 2 minutes to read through these 9 questions and find one question that you are going to have problems with and star that or something. Like, so it's like, I want to see a star next to one of these 9 before class is over or something.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be, like, really give them that purpose. And I think that's, like, would be a great way to do that. All right, well, let's see. So thinking about I should grab the sheets, actually. Tomorrow's lesson. We're going to just kind of identify the locations where putting this into place would be helpful, so that you can think about that tonight moving forward. So there's sort of the different segments of like the brain pop, the problem, like that's probably homework. So at what points do you think you're going to need to think about where to put it, really like brighten the lines of it?
So PDN, obviously, giving them a set time to move through that really quickly, and then introducing part 1 in the brain pop. And so is it a video that?
Yes, so it's this like little cartoon. The kids will know the cartoon characters from using it last year, but it basically walks through the general concept of the law of conservation of mass.
Okay, and is it like a 5-minute video or a 1 minute?
It's probably around 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. So I would tell them like watch for these things during the video, and then afterwards say like, okay, you have a minute, like check to make sure that you have like 1 through 5. And like I would circle around to make sure they're on task doing that. And then at 30 seconds, just say like, hey, finish up your sentences, and then discuss what they have for that. And then I would for the concert, are we doing part 2 together, or are we,
So
is that more
just
independent practice?
like a couple examples followed by some practice.
Okay, so, yeah, I would go through these together and then brighten the lines by like, okay, take 5 minutes independently to work
Mhm.
through it. If you want to ask questions, ask me. We're gonna wait to ask a partner till after those 5 minutes. And then, you know, after 5 minutes go by, take 2 minutes to discuss with a partner, ones that you may have had trouble with. And then after that, moving on to the back.
Yeah, I think that sounds great, and I think just adding those pieces in and thinking through how you'll do that, really, it's just like, you already are getting this like very positive feeling in the class, and it'll just help to like create that sense of urgency along with it. So I think that it'll definitely just help it that little extra bit, but yeah, things are looking good right now. So then there was one other thing I wanted to take a look at. And so when you're thinking about your explanations of things, we're gonna watch. Can't get this video to work for me. So this we're gonna watch from.
Whether it's a gas form, liquid, or solid, it's still H2O.
Sorry.
And you can, what else can you do? You can also reverse it, right? So I can condense gas molecules of water into liquid. Whether it's a gas form, liquid, or solid.
I cannot get this video to work for me.
Still, whether it's a gas form, whether it's
Okay, so we can't see it, but actually, that's okay, because I actually just want you to focus on thinking about the pace of your instruction. So like, do you feel like it's sort of a medium pace, too fast, too slow? We'll just listen for like the first 20 or 30 seconds and think through that.
gas form, liquid, or solid, it's still H2O. And you can, what else can you do? You can also reverse it, right? So I can condense gas molecules of water into liquid. So if it's really hot in here, and I had a lot of water molecules, and then I drop the temperature way down, it would go, all these water molecules in the air would form in a liquid. That's what you see with dew in the morning, right? So overnight, with the water in the air, that air cools down to a point where all this moisture in the air.
Okay, so how would you describe the pacing of your tone? Or your voice, I guess?
The pace of my voice. I guess it would be a little fast. I like feel like I'm rushed, so maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
That's interesting, because I actually feel like, I think it's sort of like maybe the pauses, it makes it feel a little slower.
Oh, okay.
And so along with like the creating that sense of urgency, I think that's something that even just like increasing the pace of
Okay.
would help just add to that feeling of urgency.
Okay.
Sorry, we couldn't see the video, but so that's just something to think about, like as you're going through, as you're doing explanations. I think just continuing like thinking about sort of that sense of urgency that you want to create in the classroom. But let's go ahead and put into the lesson plan the next step. So moving forward from here, what would you say are your next steps with Brighten the Lines?
So giving out really clear instruction and direction for how much time they have and what expectations, like volume-wise, and like what I'm hoping to see from them. So like what is what should I see you doing? And then like preparing them for like if you have questions or you have something, like there will be a time, just not now.
Yeah, I think that's good, that part about like what should I see them doing, what is the task, really giving a purpose to even a small segment of time. Great, that looks great. Well, thank you very much, Becca.
Yeah.
And thank you for agreeing to be on videotape.